It's tau mata whakatangi hanga ko awa o tamate atu puka kapiki manga hogo no kupokaife no kita natahu. You might look at a map one day and come across a really long place name, and then you would make the mistake of trying to say the name out loud, not knowing the pain it would cause you. Why would they give this place such a long name? Are they stupid? Actually, who's they? Well, places usually have names which are meant to give some idea to the location or history of the place, such as the founder of the place and stuff like that, probably because it's the easiest way to name places. And place names are not something people give too much thought into. Apparently. To give you an example, for the city of Riverside, California, it's very easy to tell that the name means that the place is located, you guessed it, on the side of a river. And as you can see, many of the long names are long because they happen to be describing the place they're located in to a T. But fear not, many long place names are long because of other interesting stuff like linguistics and other things I don't really understand. So, instead of giving you the answer straight out, mostly because I already did, why don't we look at some shorter names first? To begin our journey, let's look at some pronounceable names first. Two very well-known examples are Massachusetts and Pennsylvania, which routinely trip up people when they try to spell them. Apparently, even my word editor says I spelled Massachusetts wrong, but I'm going to ignore it. The bright side to this is that most places, especially ones that are in English-speaking countries like these two, typically have no reason to have such long names, so most of these names are outliers. Although even some supposedly long names only seem difficult because you just don't know the language that well. Icelandic might look like a super difficult language at first, and seeing the name Reyðarfjörður may shock you the first time you see it. Different pronunciation rules may also lead to some confusion. Try reading this, for example. Well, guess what? You are wrong! It's actually pronounced Stykkishólmur. A child could have guessed that. An Icelandic child, that is. In reality, both names are pretty simple, as they consist of only two components, and that's exactly what many places do. Naběžné člny looks horrifying to the untrained eye, but any Russian speaker will be able to tell you that it means coastal something. Or for the capital enthusiasts out there, Srija Wardenepura Kote is the classic example when you want to show off to your friends about knowing world capitals, but it's actually just a title for the city of Kote, which means resplendent city of growing victory, which is not even the most absurd example, as we'll see later. Generally, this is why I'm not counting places with spaces, since that's about as good as describing places verbatim, although there is one major exception. That said, this can yield in some funny long names like Pfaffinschlag bei Weithofen an der Thaya, Przedmieście Szybszyńskie and Saint-Germain de Talavent la Landwamo. Before we get to the truly long names, I think we should stop in Greenland for a bit and admire their beautiful language. Greenlandic is a polysynthetic language, which other than sounding like a term I just made up on the spot, means that the language allows creating long words by combining them together, which is very good for us. This leads to some pretty long town names, which are sort of the equivalent of sentences in English. Kekertauswatsiat, located on an almost big island, means almost big island in Greenlandic. And even English has place names which are similar to this. Unlike English, however, this is much more common in Greenlandic, and as such we have way more names like this all across the island. Not only that, but it seems like the capital and largest city, Nuuk, is the most pronounceable name in all of Greenland, further proving my theory that people prefer to live in places with shorter names. To start off the list of actually long place names, there's a place called Saaranpaskantamasari in Finland, which literally means an island shut by Sarah. Anyway, at some point, names begin getting too long even for native speakers. For example, even as a Russian speaker, it took me about 3 times to read Verkhnye Novokutumbetyevo out loud. This place, for example, is made out of a bunch of sections, which makes the name unnecessarily and stupidly long. Or the Dutch word for Independence Square, which is Onafhankelijkheidsplein, which I only bring up because it showed up in the Wikipedia list I'm ripping off for this video and does not refer to any specific place. You begin noticing how these super long names become increasingly rare, and for good reason. As such, languages which have these place names also usually allow for long words such as Dutch and Icelandic, and therefore Dutch and Icelandic places show up quite a bit in this list. But for some non-Indo-European examples, Jasfecho St. George in Hungary means Upper St. George in Jasag, Yamagawa Hamachi Ogamizu in Japan means Beach of the Children's Water in the mountains and river region, and Kuchistini Wamiskahikan in Quebec, which means the island where the boats enter the bay. Now for the ones I actually had to practice to make this video. There's a hill in South Australia called Momunkukumpurankunjunia, which of course means the place where the devil pees, but I already mentioned the silly place name before, so let's move on. For the next segment, I brought along a Dutch friend to pronounce all these words because I still need to keep a clear head for the next few names, so enjoy.
Halderbroekerdwarsstraat, Blindeliede Gasthuissteeg, Wereldtentoonstellingslaan, Gassel ter Boerveensgemond.
We also have in Katanasim Harajuvari Peta in India, Pequachnamai Quasquasquai Pinuanik in Manitoba, and Aspiliquetagarai Quasaragan Berecolarea in Spain. Tvei Bofos Meitens Kotmogsdot Keskiet Fontaine is a small farm in South Africa, and the name is basically the kill two birds with one stone phrase but in Afrikaans. And they attach the word spring to the end. Humorous indeed. The longest name in the United States is the fun to pronounce Lake Chagogogog Manchagogog Chabonagongomog, which comes from the native Nipmuc language, and its meaning is a lot less silly as it means fishing place at the boundaries and neutral meeting grounds. Welsh, which was surprisingly absent from this list, because I purposefully did not include any Welsh places up to this point, makes a very shocking appearance at the very end with the small village of Clanvair Putwingich Gogerichwindrobo Clantisilio Gogogoch. Don't think I pronounced that right. The name is comprised of 18 syllables and 58 letters, making it by far the longest town name in the world. Just for an idea of how long this name is, the village has 3,000 people, which means that there are approximately 52 people per letter in this village. Compare that to New York, which has like 1 million people per letter. But does it even have to be so long? Other Welsh place names, while they are a disgusting conglomeration of consonants, are relatively short. So what makes this place unique? Well, the answer is basically nothing. Everyone calls this village by its shorter, simple name, Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll, which just means St. Mary's Church of the Pond of the White Hazels. And yes, even then it's a pretty long name. And you wouldn't be the only one who noticed that, because the true reason for the length of the name can be blamed, as with anything else, on the British, who probably did it as a publicity stunt to give this otherwise unremarkable village the longest name for a railway station in Britain. And they succeeded. The success was partial, however, as the railway station is officially known simply as Llanfair Pwll. The new name, which probably doesn't fit in the video subtitles, is exactly what you'd expect a long name to be like. A meaningless conglomeration of random nearby geographical features just to add length to the already long name. The full name reads as such, but it's honestly so underwhelming that I'll just show it on the screen for 1 second and move on. Taumata hanga koawa o tamatea tugipuka kapiki manga hogonuko pukaifeno akitanatahu, which I just call Taumata to save some time for all of us, is a very random hill in pretty much nowhere in New Zealand, which boasts an impressive 85 characters. Unlike the other places on this list so far, however, this name isn't just geographic descriptors or weird language rules, but rather it's an actual story that supposedly happened on this very hill. This is the summit where Tamatea, the man with the big knees, the slider, climber of mountains, the land swallower who travelled about, played his kawawau to his loved one. It's actually a fairly neat story, which led me down a rabbit hole about the Maori exploration and settlement of New Zealand. But the problem with this is that it's a place name, and place names should be, memorable at the very least. Not to be persuaded by my arguments, the Maori do have a couple longer names for this hill. For example, this one, which has a grandiose 105 characters, and adds the fun facts that Tamatea was blown of course to this place, and that Tamatea had a... You'd be hard pressed to think that there's no way places can have longer names. But there is indeed one place that is over twice the length of this hill. So what is this mysterious place, you ask? Yeah, the longest name in the world belongs to Bangkok, but only by a technicality. My favorite! Bangkok, as I'm quite sure you know, has only 7 letters, which is a few letters shorter than Taumata Whakatangi Angakwa. Historically, Bangkok was a small village called Thonburi. While Bangkok may have been a name commonly used by locals, and foreigners probably heard that name, thought it was funny, and it stuck around since. This was bad news for the Thai king Rama I, who just came over to that place and established the new capital of Bangkok, giving it the much cooler name of Krung Thep, which means City of Gods. Obviously, however, there's a much longer name than just this. The city also has a ceremonial name, because of course, and although this is clearly cheating, that means the city has actually an entire 176 letters. The full name is this, which means this. However, I will not be pronouncing or explaining any of this as the video has gone on for too long and I need to drink some water. Goodbye.